Hi, and a very warm welcome to Tom Shaw. Tom, it's lovely to have you here.
Good morning.
Yeah, good morning. So Tom is a school leader at Carr Manor, which is a school that you'll hear about in just a minute. And we've invited Tom to talk to us today about coaching circles, which have been very successfully implemented at his school, Carr Manor. And they're part of an approach, as you will hear, of restorative practice. So Tom, I don't want to take up any more time with me. I want to dive straight to you. Could you kind of just go straight into what coaching circles are and why you would consider implementing them?
Yeah, so just very brief introduction to Carr Manor Community School. We're a through school, so age 4 to 19. I've quite a small post-16 provision, but that through school includes about 1,500 pupils now. And the coaching circles are small groups of children. It's a desire to want to break the school down into its smallest possible groups. And so we do that by having groups of children, around 8 to 12 children in each group, and all staff, or all adults employed by the school function as a coach. That's how we manage to get the ratios. That's the essence of it. We've been on this journey going back to 2005, 2006. So it's now a really well embedded, sustained rhythm for us. And when you speak to the head or executive head I work with, they would say it is the golden thread that makes so much of the other activity we do possible, including the stretch and challenge we want to achieve through the teaching and learning, but also around the development of pro-social skills and character, et cetera, et cetera. What I might do, just to build on that, is share a couple of slides with you.
Yeah, great.
So you can get a little bit of the detail. So if I put these up, you'll see we're based in Leeds, and what coaching looks like. You'll just see some of the images. We use these coaching circles with staff and with children. So you'll see in the top right there, there's a circle of staff. We went back to that model this week with our inset training for the first time since the pandemic, which was great. And you'll see in the bottom right an example of a circle with the children. Just a little bit of data. You'll see that back in 2019, so I've stuck to the 2019 cohort because obviously that data is all in the public realm. We had 53% of our cohort in 2019 on pupil premium, 4 out of 10 on SEN. We've got a huge diversity of ethnic background, 63 different languages. Just gives you a flavour of the dynamic that we work with. In addition to that, it's worth just highlighting we do really well on attainment and progress too. So you'll see, although we have a lot of children that come either with no data or with very low key stage 2 data, our progress rate has been consistently positive, and we're really pleased with that. We make no compromises in terms of the challenge that we put in, but we also want to make sure that the children are well grounded and have a real confident sense of belonging in the school. We recognise that if children are going to progress, the boundaries between staff and children, between children and the community, and between the parents and the school have really got to be blurred. They've got to be weak enough so that communication can happen swiftly and promptly. And coaching is key to that for us. So coaching is that strategy we have for building community connection and belonging. And that is about building connection amongst the children. The coaching groups are organised vertically for us. So we have children from reception to year 5 and then from year 6 to year 11. It's also about building connection with parents. So coaching means that when a child arrives at the school, the first thing they will do is they will meet their coach, and they'll be given a tour of the school by their child's coach. And that connection then goes throughout. If we had the time, I'd introduce some of the testimony from parents on the impact of that connection for them as they've gone through the school, but you can probably get a feel for how that helps us to achieve that, that goal we all have of wanting to break down the barriers between parents and school, particularly for children moving through the secondary phase. So what are the aims? If I was to boil it down to 3, it's about providing pupils, families and staff with that support, guidance and advocacy that they need. Crucially, it's about working preventatively. It's all about working upstream so that we can keep the community connected and purposeful. We're trying everything we can to make sure that we increase the social and emotional capacity as part of the universal offer, And that then reduces the need or changes the way in which we're able to bring in targeted intervention when necessary. And crucially, it breaks down the school into its smallest possible group. And that really allows for deep connection to develop. We've been influenced by this secure base model. When we were doing a refresher of coach training this last week in preparation for the new term, we reminded staff that what we're wanting to do is make sure that every child knows that they have an adult in the school that is for them, thinking of them, holding them as they move through. And we continually see the impact of that. That gives you a quick flavour and overview of what we're doing, why we're doing it, and the way in which we go about it. If I just stop the screen share. Might be worth mentioning, people may be interested just in a few of the practical details. So for us, the way we do this is on a Monday morning, we start school, well, the coaching circles actually start at 7:45 with SLT. And then at 8:15, we move into staff circles, and they go from 8:15 to 8:50. Often there's a blend there of staff circles and department team circles. And then at 8:50 till 9:15, we have our check-in circle with the children. And what that means is that by 9:15, every Monday morning, every single person in the organisation has been able to speak and be listened to. And we believe that's a really powerful way to begin the school week. It means that every child has been observed, listened to, and that their coach has taken a reading of where they're at and can follow up any concerns or can refer on if there's things we might want to follow up, either to what we have as what we call our inclusion team or safeguarding team. That, from a safeguarding perspective, is an incredible resource. But also it's the place, it means that everybody is lined up in terms of the culture, ethos, and priority that we're wanting to set for that week. So a really powerful moment in the life of the school. On a Wednesday from 2:15 till 3, we have what we call check up. And that's a time when we also will deliver a good amount of our well-being, personal development curriculum that can be delivered in an age-appropriate way for our coaching groups. And then on a Friday, a really special place between 2:15 and 3, we do our checkout circles. And they can be really powerful moments of play, but also of reflection as children develop some of those metacognition skills around reflecting on the week and also anticipating what's coming over the weekend. It's a place where all 4 of our school values are invested in. So everything we do is run along these 4 values. It's about knowing our children well. It's about being partners in learning. It's about character for learning, and it's about enjoy and achieve. And those values, if you have the chance to come and see what we do, you'll see they run through everything we do. But coaching is that place where it's clear for everybody. I'm always really moved when people come and visit Carr Manor, because you can pull any child off the corridor or out of a classroom, and you ask them what's one of the things that's distinctive, different, that they enjoy about Carr Manor, and almost always they'll talk about coaching. Many will go on and say it's a bit like our family in school, and that's a tremendous thing to hear, and a tremendous thing to contribute to their progress as they move through school.
Oh, what a great overview. Thank you so much, Tom. I think just visiting Carr Manor would be a great start to any Monday morning. So I hope that's on the horizon for myself, some colleagues, and some school leaders as well. So thank you so much for that. Give a really good overview. I think it would be great, before we finish, if you could maybe touch upon any barriers, in terms of reflecting back as to what you've experienced, but also advising, as I know you have done, other schools. What do they really need to have considered before they kind of embark on this? Because structurally it takes, or logistically it takes quite a lot, right? Yeah,
it does. Yeah, it's a significant investment, and it does require some capacity. I think some of the key things are thinking around where the adults are in the school and how orientated they are to beginning to step into that kind of role. There's work we have done and continue to do to make sure that that continues to be the case. It's a different role stepping into that coaching circle environment than perhaps particularly teachers. Often our non-teaching staff, the support staff, are some of our best coaches, because they step into the role without some of the expectations that teachers do, and it's so that can be a challenge. But it's also being really brave around how you organise the timetable and the structure of the day. And that can take time. We often talk about thinking of sort of an 18-month implementation, so that there's time to work with staff in terms of expectations, but also put in place and make some of those decisions structurally within the school to make the space and protect the space for it. There's a whole range of things we could talk about there. Often what we find is that it depends on the school. We've supported some schools where actually they've already moved quite some distance in terms of the traditional form tutor arrangements, in terms of how they staff it, or how they the numbers that they achieve, or the kind of venues and spaces within school that they use. Others will be at a different starting point. So often that's about conversation and working through what the particular challenges are.
That's really helpful, thank you. And that leads me straight on to just finishing up with a little bit of information on implementation. So I know you've met Mervyn Cato, who is our wonderful Head of Secondary Behaviour Support Service, and Olivia Wittich, who is our wonderful Head of Nexus Enfield project. And both of them, along with myself, are very keen for a school or two or more in Enfield to look to implement this. So what I would ask is people listening to this, if this is something that you'd like more information on, to contact professional.learning@enfield.gov.uk and we can have a discussion. But essentially, we'd love Tom to be part of implementing this in at least one school in Enfield, and that possibly could include a visit to Carr Manor, because I think you found, Tom, the best way to understand it is to see it.
So much of the culture and ethos and dynamic is what you experience when you're in the room. We have developed some online access over the pandemic. We get quite a lot of schools that are interested in what we do and the way we do it. So we have developed a kind of online immersion, but it's which is good, but it's not quite the same as coming in and feeling that space, being in that space and talking to the children about it.
Yeah, fantastic. I agree. So just to repeat the email, it's professional.learning@enfield.gov.uk. Please do contact if you're at all interested in finding out more about this, having a discussion about implementing. And that just leaves me to thank you very much, Tom. Thank you for your time.
My pleasure.
Thanks a lot.